Hello, YouTube family. I am popping on here just because it was super guided. It was just impromptu, go on, share a little bit of what's been coming up in a message. So it wasn't planned programming, if you will. Um, Really, I just want to hold space and love for everybody and what they may be going through because these wild and woolly times of the April energy is so intense. Like, I was not expecting this. I mean, I feel like everything that was forecasted for April was really powerful astrology and it's bringing really positive change. And there's, new things on the horizon and it's excitement. And so I think when it was being forecasted, I was tapping into the energy, I was seeing a lot of play and joy and excitement and getting out there and like just everything that we hadn't had in a long time. If you've been on kind of this really intense spiritual awakening journey, especially if you've been in the divine feminine energy and you are super sacredly protected by lower energy. So spirit kind of like isolates you and keeps you away from other people and just kind of puts you in a safe little cocoon. So I was kind of like, oh yeah, like looking into April, like, yeah, it's going to be really great. It's my birthday. Like, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to do all these fun things. And then I wasn't guided to do any of that. I like it was hard to get out of bed. Like, and I know the energies are really intense and we've been going through upgrades. I think I've shared that in a couple somewhere on my social media channels. I've shared that, but if you haven't heard that from me yet or you're new here, welcome. And what I've been feeling in the energy is Spirit is doing a lot of upgrades and work on us. So we're kind of like computers and we're going through a reboot. And during that reboot, it's really advised to not get super busy, to not do a bunch, to really kind of be in a steady kind of slow energy, to get horizontal, to rest. I mean, and rest could be complicated for you right now because I'll go and lay down to take a nap and I'll think I'm just going to take a nap. And then I'm like, not able to actually fall asleep, but the stillness and the lying down they're saying is enough for the energy to move through and for me to be worked on. But there's like a lot of upgrades. I will be sharing a tarot, pretty substantial tarot reading in the next day or two, and then there'll be an extended reading that'll go with it that goes super in depth into the energies, especially through the lens of what's going on for the divine feminine and what's going on for divine masculine. So in that, I share a lot of these themes deeper if any of it's resonating. By the way, I'm seeing 333 on my clock, a lot of expansion. And there's this feeling of being in between worlds, moving from one aspect of self or the experience of self to a new one, and transitions are hard, and that's just what's coming up. And I think that's why I've been guided to kind of come on here, and really this is like a virtual hug. I mean, I do have a deck of cards that I can pull here for some angel messages, just like a little bit of guidance for us, but really I just felt called to hold space, give presence, honor what you're going through, let you know that you're not alone, because ultimately that's what community is for. That's what social media is for. That's what I want to create out of these spaces. That's what I'm using them for. If you are going through a hard time, know that it's temporary. We are in kind of like a pocket of energy right now in moving into eclipse season. Which I'll probably share deeper about that if I'm guided, just kind of doing some readings on that energy and what we can expect. But we're in a transition, and transition, excuse me, can be a little bit difficult, a little bit challenging. No matter what we think, our ego doesn't like change. No matter what we tell ourselves, our ego does not like change. So even if it's really good, positive change, our ego is still kind of like, ugh, really? This again? I don't want to do this, And I think it's kind of a faith test also, where we're in this spot of we really need to hold out the trust and the faith of what we've been shown in our dreams and our intuition and our inner guidance. Trust that reality exists. It's already been created, and you are just aligning with it right now. You are just recalibrating to meet it. And the only thing that kind of can stop that energy or slow it down is when you get in your head and you get in fear and doubt. But also simultaneously, this is why this stuff is so complicated at times and there's so much paradox, is honor that you are confused, honor that you were in your head, honor that you're a bit afraid, honor that you have pain coming up, allow it. to move through you. Because when we push it down and we try to ignore it or we avoid, it makes it so much worse and so much harder. And if we get really stuck in a storyline that we're telling ourselves for an extended period of time, so like, for example, if you're like, we'll take the twin flame connection, if you are in this fear around it, like, it's never going to happen. I'm never going to see this person again. I'm never going to talk to them again. You know, they're lost. They're lost. I hear a lot of divine feminines being like, oh my God, my masculine is lost. He's just not going to figure it out. He's stuck in his karma. He's a mess. He's not going to figure it out. Right. So if you're stuck in that story, the more you perpetuate that story, the more you give energy to creating it. So it's not necessarily that you can sabotage and block the connection, but you are feeding that beast. You are giving energy to that. And on the flip of that, for masculines, if you're really afraid of talking to your feminine, really afraid of sharing your feelings, really afraid of, am I ready? Can I be in a commitment? Can I be supportive? Can I match her and her energy and her level? The more that you create delusions and stuff around that, and you're in that fear, the anxiety, that devil energy versus the action taking, which is what masculines are very guided to take, the more you're in that, the more that you're feeding that. And you know, towers and karma then comes in and hits you really hard in the ass. And I mean, spirit's always like, you can do it my way or you can do it your way. Your way is probably going to hurt a lot more and it's going to take a lot more time. My way might be kind of scary, but as soon as you do it, you're like, oh, whoa, what was I so scared of? So that's kind of what I'm feeling in the energy. I feel like there's been so much work done and so much accomplishment and so much achievement, but it may not be the type of achievement that you can be like, look what I've done. Look at my shelf of achievements, right? Like it may not be this, like, it may not look that way to the outside, right? So if you are still in some sort of community that's not connected to this sort of spiritual work, by the way, me flubbing on my words has been such a theme today because there's a little bit of like dizzying energy. It's kind of like, like, where am I energy? So forgive me. But it may not be this type of work that you can be like, look what I did all winter. I wrote a book or I got married, or I don't know, like whatever the things are that the ego says, this is success. I made $100,000. This is success. I did this. Like, but spirit is really, really trying to ram home that that is not who you are. That is not your identity. And it is very hard to be a spiritual person living in this world. It is very hard. But guess what? You are the leader. You are the pioneer. You are the innovator. Everyone's going to adapt to your way. Trust me. I've seen it 100 million times. I can't not see an outcome or a timeline of the future where the rest of the world, the sleepers, whatever you want to call them, those that are kind of asleep at the wheel and working on autopilot and doing what society tells them to do, they will have to catch up to this energy that we are in now. They will. And it may be very painful. If the more they resist, the more painful it'll be, the more they will feel like they're dying. And some of them quite literally will die. And I don't mean that to be dramatic or painful, but there are souls that are choosing to leave this earth plane because they do not wish to rise and ascend with its ascension. And that is a choice that we all have to make. If you're a twin flame, if you're a starseed, you probably don't feel like you had the choice. I mean, I feel like, yeah, I won't go down that, but you almost feel like you weren't given the choice. Like I've had conversations with a lot of divine feminines that are like, where did I sign? I don't think I signed this contract. So for us, it's kind of been, we've been thrust into it. And it was actually harder for us when we were pretending to fit in or pretending to be like other people and be normal, right? What does that even mean? But you get what I mean. And it's almost a little bit easier. We have that weight off our shoulders. We have that, we can breathe a sigh of relief where we're like, oh, I am different. My mission is radically different than anyone else's. I can't see myself in anyone else. No one is doing what I'm doing. And the ego sneakily tries to find those little tiny vulnerabilities, if you will, and come in times of change and transition and be like, see, what have you done? You're not doing anything. What have you accomplished? Oh, you're still hanging on to this relationship. Oh, you think that's going to work? Pfft, girl, or boy, whatever. Like that's the ego. Trust me, that's the ego. And yes, the ego sounds a lot like society. You're damn right it does. You think that's a mistake? There are no coincidences. Yes, the ego sounds a lot like your mom or your dad, right? Depending on your relationship with them. Some of us were blessed with wonderful parents. Some of us not so much. but yeah, the ego will sound like that mean teacher you grew up with, or an ex-girlfriend, an ex-boyfriend that was an asshole, right? That's the ego's voice. It's always going to be that, because it can't be what it's not. It can't sound as something that it is not. We can't perceive what we aren't. So we perceive these messages because it's something that is a wound within us that maybe is healing, or maybe it's not claimed yet and it's a shadow. And the only reason it's popping up for us to notice, oh, hey, I have a shadow there. Maybe I should go in and fix that. Or I don't want to say fix, but maybe I should give that some attention, some love. And that's really what we're in. We're in this weird little, it's weird because it's like we've never experienced these energies before, and we will never experience them again, except maybe in a future lifetime, right? Because the astrology that we just had yesterday, I don't think is happening again for like, I don't know. You guys probably know. If you know, write it down in the comments. But it's like it's like a long time. Like no one will be alive. It's like hundreds and hundreds of years, I think. If I don't know, something like that. Okay, and we had never previously experienced it because nobody had experienced it in hundreds of years. So it's like really, really poignant, significant energy. And what's occurring on a multidimensional level is we are ascending. We descended for a very long time. If you think about basically the history that we've been taught in school in the history books, that's a lot of smoke and mirrors. That was our descension, right? So we can say like, oh, the archaic humans were way better than those humans. Yeah, but those humans were way descended from who we were in Atlantis and Lemuria, okay? Because we descended, it was a fall, the fall of Atlantis. And now we've been in this really dark age for a long time, and we're coming up. We're slowly but surely coming up. And guess who has to go first? You know, when you're like on, I just thought of like a haunted house, and like I personally hate haunted houses, and I know a lot of people don't like haunted, but it's like, who's gonna go first? Who's gonna be, you know, you got to single file, who's gonna be in front? Guess what? You volunteered for it because you're a starseed, because you're a twin flame. You're like, I'll go first. We'll figure out what's in this room. What's the boogeyman in this room, right? That's what's happening. And so that actually leads to one of the main points, not the main points, but one of the things I really wanted to say today to you, and to kind of, oh, that's annoying. Sorry. Chaotic energy, I'm telling you. Is twin flames are here to heal the collective. We are here to be in service to the collective. We are here to help. We are here to heal. I feel like that's almost like getting me tongue-tied. So it's, and we're doing it through the classroom of love of self, love of God, love of the world, love of earth, love of twin, love of thyself, love of the counterpart. That is where the healing occurs. And whether we chose it or not, I personally would love to be a teacher about metaphysics. I would love to be teaching about ancient Lemuria and Atlantis. And maybe at some point on my journey, I will. And that's all knowledge I have. And that's all things that I, you know, am really guided to. But the interesting thing is, every time I try to work in that realm, spirit slaps me and gets me right back into the twin flame love stuff. My ego doesn't want to be teaching about twin flames. I'm over it. Right? Like, I love you all so much, but I'm like, but there's so much going on out there that we really got to work on. And that's what I want to do. But this is my classroom. This is my gift. This is my service. These are the lessons I've had to learn. This is what I've had to go through in order to be that person in front of the line, going into this room, figuring out what boogeyman's in this room, working through it, and then advising the people behind me in line. There's no hierarchy. There's no better or worse. It's literally just, I decided to go first. I said, yeah, I'll go first. I'll do that. And so did you, if you're watching this. Okay. So did you. So in some way, if you are a twin flame, if you are learning through this classroom of love, you are here to heal and help others in that. You absolutely are. So if you have not stepped onto that path yet, Spirit's like, what are you waiting for? I don't care if you're divine masculine and you haven't even come close to facing some of the other things about this connection, right? You got to be in service. You have to be on mission. And most masculines are getting the downloads about what that is. You have received it. Whether you're acting on it or ignoring it yet or not is to be seen. But mission is why we're here. And we have to put our ego aside. We have to get out of our own way. It can't be about us anymore. And this lesson has been learned so, I've had to learn this lesson so strongly. Anytime I even slightly sway into like self-serving around any teaching, any work I put out, anything I do that's like, oh, like tit for tat energy, right? Kind of that like, well, if I do this, I better get this back. Like, oh, anytime I do that, absolutely not. It's not the same thing as boundaries. Boundaries are different. Boundaries are very important. But anytime that my energy, because it's so subtle, anytime my energy is slightly out of alignment and slightly like, however, I just try to explain it. I don't know how else to explain it. I wish we had more words. Spirit gives me a little tap on the shoulder and is like, no. And then it doesn't work out. Like for a perfect example, my ego wants to go share about quantum physics, or I want to study more about quantum physics. And then I want to learn about it. And then I want to share about it. And I want to teach on it. I want to be like in this Aquarian, like energy all the time. I don't really want to be in my heart. I just want to like, you know, be in this detached sense of like weirdo stuff, talking about star seeds. And anytime I try and go do that, Spirit's like, no, we need you in your heart. You have to be the divine feminine energy, which means you can't plan, you can't be detached, you have to feel, you have to like allow the emotions to flow through you, no matter how uncomfortable they are, right? So that's the message for all of you as well. It doesn't mean that you have to go start a YouTube channel if you don't have one and that doesn't feel guided. If that feels guided, do it. Do it. But it doesn't mean that you have to follow the mold of what it looks like to be a spiritual teacher or healer or guide or whatever. You don't have to do that. You could be a pioneer of something that hasn't even been created yet. Also, most of us are, right? As twin flames, that's what we're doing. We're like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm fucking doing. I don't know, but it's given to me on a need to know basis. Like when I need to know, then I know, right? Some of you can relate. You've been traveling like me, where you're just like in all these different places. And I didn't know that I wouldn't be going home. Like I've just been, and and then, the place you think you're going to end up, or the place you think you're going to go, and then you don't even end up going there, and you go to this totally different place. And then you're like, oh, and then I guess I just rented an apartment in this city that I've never lived in. And I guess I'm just going to try that out. And, so I've been with Session and a lot of you, and I know you guys have experienced things like that. And I myself, where I'm like, I keep thinking I should be going here, and they keep telling me, no, stay put, you're good, stay where you are. So anyways, we don't get to know, but we do have to take action. We do have to take those steps that we're guided to take. Let's see. Okay, so twin flames are not necessarily here to help other twin flames, because twin flames are leaders and teachers in their own right. Yes, this was part of the message I had gotten for myself personally. I thought it'd be helpful to share. So, okay, there will come a time where my channel and my teachings and how I'm supporting will not be other twin flames. It will not be you guys, because you guys will all be teaching and kind of umbrellaing your own group of students and helping and assisting. The twin flame popularity, the twin flame label, some people have resistance to, some people hate it, some people love it, some people fantasize, make it this whole thing. And I myself have been like, what the fuck is this label? Like, why do I even need to use this label? And Spirit has always guided me, no, you use that label. And part of it is because there is such an obsession with it and the misunderstanding around it. There's many people that think they're twin flames that are not. Twin flames are extremely rare, especially ones that incarnate here on this planet. So there's so much misuse of the term, but Spirit says that's 100% okay, because what it does is it attracts your students to you. So for me, for example, I say I'm helping twin flames. The twin flame channel is what I'm channeling. And a lot of people that come are twin flames. I've been really lucky. Like I've been one of the few, and that's why I think the channel has stayed super small, is because for whatever reason, Spirit is guiding me to channel things that are only going to resonate if you're a twin flame. And if you're not a twin flame, you're probably not going to get it. But a lot of twin flame channels are actually attracting not twin flames.